It was 2:17 in the morning, the kind of silence that feels heavy, almost uncomfortable. Ethan Cole sat inside his car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that his fingers began to ache. His breathing was fast and uneven. Sweat ran slowly down the side of his face. Behind him, flashing red and blue lights cut through the darkness. They were getting closer. His heart pounded harder with every passing second. His eyes kept jumping between the road ahead and the mirror behind him. Fear had taken over his mind, and in that moment, he could not think clearly anymore. Everything he had tried to hide, everything he had done, was finally catching up with him. And deep down, he knew this moment had been coming. Just 3 years earlier, Ethan's life had been completely different. He lived a simple but stable life. He worked as a financial analyst in a well-respected company in a busy city. He was known for being responsible, focused, and trustworthy. He was not the richest man in the room, but he had something many people respected: integrity. He believed in working hard. He believed in doing things the right way, even when it was difficult. His life was not perfect, but it was peaceful. He had a small apartment, a steady income, and a clear path ahead of him. And for a long time, that was enough. There was also someone special in his life. Her presence brought warmth into his world. With her, Ethan felt understood. He felt seen. She admired his honesty and his calm nature. She believed in the man he was becoming. Her support gave him strength. Her trust gave him confidence. For a while, everything in his life felt balanced, until something small began to change. At work, Ethan started noticing something. Others were moving ahead faster than him. People who cut corners, people who bent the rules, people who did not always play fair. They were getting promoted. They were earning more. And for the first time, Ethan felt left behind. That feeling stayed with him. At first, he ignored it, but over time, it grew stronger. It began to question his beliefs. It began to challenge his patience. It started with a simple situation at work. One day, while reviewing financial records, Ethan noticed a small error. It was not something anyone else had seen. It was the kind of mistake that could easily be ignored. At that moment, he had a choice. He could report it or quietly adjust it. The thought came slowly, almost harmless. It felt like nothing. He hesitated, but then he made a decision. A small one, a quiet one. And in that moment, something shifted inside him. Nothing happened at first. There were no consequences, no warnings, no signs of danger. In fact, things seemed to improve. His work started getting more attention. His confidence grew. Opportunities began to open up. People started to notice him more. And because nothing bad happened, he told himself it was okay. That one small decision became another, then another. Slowly, without realizing it, he began to cross lines he once promised himself he would never cross. What once felt wrong started to feel normal.
As time went on, Ethan changed. Not all at once, but little by little. He became more comfortable bending the truth. He became more focused on results than on honesty. He began to care less about doing what was right and more about getting ahead. And the more he gained, the less he questioned himself. Deep inside, a quiet voice still tried to warn him, but he stopped listening. Then came the moment that would define everything. A major financial opportunity landed on his desk. It was bigger than anything he had handled before. The numbers were large, the stakes were high, and hidden within it was a chance, a dangerous one. With just one decision, Ethan could gain more than he had ever imagined. He could move faster, rise higher, and secure a future that once felt out of reach. But he knew the truth. It was wrong, it was risky, and it could destroy everything. He sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. His mind was filled with thoughts. His heart was uneasy. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. But in the end, desire spoke louder than conscience, and he made the choice. The one decision that would change his life forever. At first, everything seemed fine, but then small cracks began to appear. Questions started coming in. Numbers were reviewed again. Details were examined more closely. What he thought was hidden was slowly being uncovered. The pressure began to build, and then, suddenly, everything collapsed. Investigations began. His name started to appear in conversations. People who once trusted him began to doubt him. The truth could no longer be hidden. And when it finally came out, it hit harder than anything he had imagined.
Back in the present moment, the flashing lights were now right behind him. The fear he felt was no longer just fear of being caught. It was the weight of everything he had done. His hands shook. His chest felt tight. In a moment of panic, he lost control. One wrong turn, one mistake, and everything stopped. The sound of the crash broke the silence of the night. For a brief moment, there was nothing but stillness. Then, reality returned, quickly and painfully. He was pulled out of the car. Cold metal closed around his wrists. And just like that, the life he once knew was gone. The holding cell was quiet, too quiet. Ethan sat alone, staring at the ground. There was no noise, no distractions, no escape. Only his thoughts, only his mistakes. For the first time in a long time, he could not run from the truth. As the days passed, everything became real. The charges, the consequences, the loss. The weight of it all settled deeply inside him. The life he had built was falling apart, piece by piece. The courtroom was filled with people, but to Ethan, it felt empty. Everything around him faded as the final decision was made. In that moment, he realized something painful. It was not just about what he had lost. It was about who he had become. When the sentence was given, it felt like time slowed down. Years of his life reduced to a single moment, and there was nothing he could do to change it. The prison gates closed behind him with a heavy sound. It was a sound he would never forget, because it marked the end of one life and the beginning of another. The first nights were the hardest. Sleep did not come easily. His mind replayed everything, every choice, every mistake, every moment he ignored what was right. The guilt was heavy, and it stayed with him. Over time, something unexpected happened. In the middle of that dark place, Ethan began to change. Not quickly, not easily, but slowly. He started to reflect, to think deeply about his life, to understand not just what he did, but why he did it. For the first time, he took full responsibility, without excuses, without blame. That realization was painful, but it was also the beginning of something new. He began to spend his time differently. He read more. He learned more. He became more aware of himself. He started helping others in small ways, not for recognition, but because it felt right. As time passed, people around him began to notice. There was something different about him, something calmer, something stronger, something real. The years went by slowly, but they also brought growth. The man who entered that place was not the same man who remained. Then one day, the gates opened again, this time from the inside out. Ethan stepped out into the world once more, but everything felt different. Freedom did not feel easy. It felt uncertain. The world had moved on, but his past had not. People remembered. Doors closed before they even opened. Opportunities disappeared quickly. The weight of his mistakes followed him everywhere. But this time,
He did not run. He did not lie. He did not take shortcuts. He stayed patient. He stayed honest, even when it was hard. Rejection came again and again, but he kept going, because now he understood something he never understood before. Real change takes time. Eventually, a small opportunity came. Not big, not impressive, but real, and he took it. He worked hard, not for success this time, but for meaning, for truth, for a life he could be proud of. Slowly, things began to change. Not overnight, but step by step. Then one day, unexpectedly, he saw a familiar face, a reminder of the past he once lost.
There was no anger in that moment, no noise, just silence and understanding. Because sometimes life does not give you back what you lost. It gives you something new, something stronger, something real. Ethan did not get his old life back, but he found something better. He found himself. And in the end, that was enough. Because a second chance is not something you are given. It is something you build through pain, through truth, through change. And sometimes losing everything is the only way to become who you were meant to be. So here is what this story leaves with you. First, your choices matter, not just the big ones, but the small ones you think no one sees, because those small moments shape your future. Second, integrity is not tested when things are easy. It is tested when doing the wrong thing feels rewarding. Third, consequences are not always immediate, but they are always certain. And fourth, no matter how far you fall, change is possible, but only if you are willing to face yourself honestly. And finally, be patient with your growth. If you are doing the right thing and life feels slow, do not give up. Real progress is not loud. It is quiet, steady, and lasting. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced a moment where your choices came back to you? A time when life forced you to reflect, to change, to grow? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like and share it with someone who needs a reminder. And don't forget to subscribe, because more powerful stories are coming your way. Until next time, choose wisely, live honestly, and remember, life always reflects back the seeds you choose to plant.